Good afternoon everyone and welcome to Chiefs Country. We are in deepest Devon for a scuffle between two of the Gallagher Premiership's basement dwellers, each scrapping to hoist themselves away from the foot of the table. Exeter, with a callow group of players and a more modest budget this season, toiling away for much of the campaign and recently announcing major changes to their coaching structure. Newcastle, as we know, as we've seen this season, seeking all important new investments and an away win in this competition for the first time in over 2 long years. There will be no relegation from the league this term. The Championship's leading contenders, most ambitious clubs, failing to satisfy promotion criteria, which is probably a relief to both of these fan bases, each with 2 wins apiece. But crucially, Exeter with a healthy complement of 8 bonus points squirreled away to give them that cushion over the Falcons as we enter the final furlongs of this oscillating Gallagher Premiership season. Right, let's peel back the curtain a little and see what the two gaffers have got to say for themselves, shall we? Two of the most experienced rugby men in the country, Newcastle's Steve Diamond, and first, the wise owl of Exeter, Rob Baxter.
Rob, there's no spectre of relegation for either of these teams to worry about, but psychologically, as you embark on this journey to improve and to change heading into next season, how important is this game for Exeter?
I genuinely think it's very important for both teams. You know, both sides very proud. Neither of us wants to be where we are in the Premiership. We both want to be putting positive performances on the field. We both want to be growing our supporter base. But there's all kinds of reasons you want to play well. And you want to give people a feel-good factor and a bit of belief going forward. And that's what makes today very important for us.
What do you want to get out of the rest of this season? You've made some coaching changes. There'll be more, I'm sure, to announce in terms of an attack coach coming in before the end of the season. What do you want it to do to become that most improved team and perhaps make this period a period you reflect on in the years ahead as one that was the making of this group?
I think Rob Hunt put it very well last week. We need to move on and leave some baggage behind. We've come through a tough season. We've picked up quite a lot of bonus points. So we've got a group of players who are probably thinking, what does it take to win? You know, we've won a couple of very important home games, but there's still that, you know, is this game going to get away from us? Is this game going to get away from us? And we've just got to really leave that behind and get on with the next thing and look to improve. We've kind of tried to talk about, let's leave the results to sort themselves out. Let's really focus on our performances. Let's really focus on how we want to play, how we want to attack the games, what we want to achieve, and just keep developing kind of almost session by session, week by week, and just give ourselves a real solid, positive foundation to get ready for the off-season, the pre-season, which is clearly going to be very important for us as well.
You know from your bitter experience up in Newcastle earlier in the season how difficult, not to be offensive, how stuffy a team Newcastle can be in terms of spoiling your breakdown, getting after you at restart time. What's going to be crucial today to turn the tables on them?
Well, I think that game was a really good example of us worrying more about the result than how we played, because we went there obviously desperate to get a result, desperate to try and improve where we were, and we probably almost forgot how to play. We were almost looking for the result to happen. We've got to really kind of try and forget about that today, focus on ourselves, focus on how well we play, and keep repeating what we want to do.
Steve, we've spoken about some of the frustrations that you and the Falcons players had after the manner of the performance and the way that some of your players were probably freelancing and going off script against Sale a week ago. What have you done in training to try and make sure that plans are stuck to and that ultimately a more cohesive performance is produced?
Well, to be fair, the senior players have led the week quite a lot. We've cut a little bit of jargon out, you know, a little bit too much information. So really basic game plan, and you know, go out today and try and do what we can do when we've got the ball, but equally when we haven't got the ball against Exeter at home, you know, the first 3 phases are going to be massive for us. We've got a big chop focus delivered by the senior players to the team. So, you know, 3 of our errors last week decided the game, and if we can cut 2 or 3 of them out, we're always going to make 1 or 2, no doubt. But against a side like Exeter at home, they're a good side. We just need to get our own house in order, do our things that we're good at, you know, scrum line out and get our D right.
You spoke about the defence, an area that I know at the start of the project here you had a big hand in. Really impressive against Exeter when you ended the hoodoo against them at the start of the season up in Newcastle. Breakdown was an area you really decimated them, stopped them building momentum. Is that a key part of the plan today as well? Yeah,
I think the thing we've worked on is getting on our feet quickly. You know, getting 13 men up, only 2 in the tackle. Exeter also, you know, they don't commit to Jacqueline, you know, but we've still got to maintain our good presentation of the ball for quick ball, but get it, you know, not speed, but just all action when we haven't got the ball. You know, if we're in attack, if you're not at the ruck, make sure you're giving our options to the 9s and 10s, and the same in D. When we're not in the tackle, get on your feet, get on side, and be ready to go forward.
A really special day for your starting scrum half today. 19 years old, Joe Davis, England 20s debut recently. You've been talking him up to us for some months now. Why is this the right moment to give him his first pro start?
Well, I think he came on the last couple of games and he's really impressed. He speeds the ball up for us, which no disrespect to Sam, he's just come on and edged him out the spot, so there's a bit of competition there, which sides like we need at the moment. Joe's going to have a bright future. He reminds me of Rafi Quirk. He can run with the ball. His decision making's good. He's a good kicker. So I think it was right to give him the opportunity.
Steve, best of luck. Thanks for your time.
That's good.
Well, having rested some of their frontliners for last week's trip to Bristol, Exeter bring back the big guns for a crucial fixture here in Devon. At the coalface, Scott Seo, Jack Yendall and Josh Josephus Scott spearhead the pack. Yendall now remarkably with over 300 Chiefs games. Club centurion Stu Townsend back to keep his hand on the tiller at scrum half, alongside the precocious pivot Ben Cohen. Poor old Henry Slade had his ribcage rearranged by a Fijian torpedo last week, but has passed the concussion return to play protocols and takes up his place in the midfield. Harvey Skinner once again dropping back to 15, with Tommy Wyatt and Dan John sidelined. On the bench, Tamati Tua and Rusi Tuima returning to bolster the options available to Rob Baxter and his staff. Rotation not a luxury afforded to Steve Diamond and to Newcastle Falcons, a small squad by financial necessity, and while one key player is back today, 2 more have dropped out with minor injuries. The incomer is Ben Stevenson, in white hot form with 6 tries in his past 4 games. Sammy Arnold, though, the big centre, ruled out with a head injury, so Connor Doherty, a long-time Steve Diamond project, partners Max Clark in the centres. But Van der Vaart stricken early against Sale in the loss 8 days ago, replaced in the second row by fellow veteran Seb de Chavez. Elsewhere, the tight head prop Richard Palfreman scored off the bench, and this week is preferred to Murray McCallum, especially, as we heard from Steve Diamond, for young scrum half Joe Davis, 19 years of age, in his debut year of elite rugby, is rewarded for another impressive bench cameo with his first professional start. Sam Stewart will back the young man up from the bench in jersey 21 this time. Some 366 miles by road at least separate Newcastle and Exeter. Newcastle have made exactly that journey by exactly that mode of transport on many occasions. Not this weekend though. They flew down yesterday on the charter flights. Seymour Curry might have put the club up for sale, but in the meantime still funding the logistics and keeping things ticking along as professionally as possible. What he would love, what everybody at Newcastle would love, is an end to the away day famine that continues to blight this club. No league victory on the road since November 2022, when Callum Chick's troops triumphed at Kingsholm. Not all that very far from here, in another West Country rugby heartland. The feet stamp, the eyes squint through the glare as the Chiefs of Exeter march out to the Sandy Park drum beats. For all their travails and tribulations, the angst and the anguish, and the tumbling down from league positions we have grown very used to seeing Exeter occupy, this remains a wonderful, inhospitable spot to watch rugby. The X-Men, once a rising pretender, then kings of England and emperors of Europe, now must rouse themselves again and start that arduous but bountiful process of rebuilding, of transitioning, and of succeeding once more. Premiership regular Adam Leal, solutions architect outside of rugby, is our referee in the southwest sunshine this afternoon. As the Young Tykes clear off the pitch down below, the mascots ushered off the paddock. We're ready to rumble at Sandy Park in Devon. Newcastle in the grey will get us going. Exeter in the black, and in the dogfight to escape bottom spot in the Gallagher Premiership. This is a game of substantial consequence, and not the start Harvey Skinner was looking for, doubling the ball over his own try line and asking Stu Townsend and his battalion of heavies to drag themselves away from Coffin Corner. Townsend now with over 100 games between the Premiership and APCR competitions this year. Not a vintage clearance though, straight up, straight back down, batted back on the Chiefs side, and Townsend has another crack. Gets a more effective clearance.
Inside the 50.
Sticks it long and high and tumbling in the swirling breeze. And Skinner will call the mark. And we will welcome former Newcastle Falcon, former Gloucester, Edinburgh and Scotland captain Rory Lawson to the action.
Yeah, good afternoon, Jamie. It's always great when you get to the end of the Six Nations. Typically you look forward to drier conditions, and we certainly got that firm underfoot this afternoon, albeit we saw from that first kick-off there is a bit of breeze up there. Newcastle Falcons have it at their back, and for the third time this afternoon Harvey Skinner has managed to take that one better than he did the opening kick-off. But two teams desperate for a win, ninth hosting 10th, and in the absence of relegation, Steve Diamond has spoken about this afternoon as being Newcastle Falcons playoff. They want to come down here and pick up a win on the road for the first time in way too long.
Obviously Yimbo scored a try on that last away league victory way back in late 2022. And young Joe Davis, look out for him. First pro start today, not a pass he will reflect on with any great fondness, and Brocklebank has his reverse lights flashing. Tuima, Maloney, Feyi-Waboso in there. Davis this time to Freddie Lockwood, who's had a eye-catching season in Falcons colours.
The ball's there, you're pushing it into him.
Northeast talent that's coming of age, around which Steve Diamond will look to build a squad, climb the ladder over the next few seasons. Skinner glaring into the sun. Townsend, opportunity for the Chiefs to move this. Will Rigg, 80 metres ball in hand in that crazy match against the Bristol Bears a week ago. Record-breaking game, 10 tries, unprecedented volume of 5-pointers in the opening first half. Inside ball, Cowan.
Chat's on you, man.
Skinner stepping up at first receiver. Cowan, floater over the top. A little bit too much ammunition on that one.
Yeah, just a misjudgment there by Ben Cowan. Lifted his head. I think he maybe thought that there was somebody outside Paul Brown-Bampo, but as it was, loose pass. A couple of youngsters, just maybe early nerves. Ben Cowan done really well to step up into the number 10 jersey. Obviously England under 20s during their Six Nations campaign.
Bungled line out from Newcastle. Suspicion of a knock-on from Jack Yendall at the tail, but it is Exeter ball. It's front foot ball. Maloney, Cowan, Rigg sizing up Doherty and Clark. Beats both centres twice. Townsend, Skinner moving it wide. This is Slade cutting inside. Big fend from Slade. Delicious inside ball to Cowan. Just hits the deck inside the 5-metre line. Feyi-Waboso scoops it up, has his ankle lassoed illegally by Lockwood. He was on the ground. Penalty at worst for Newcastle. And the knock-on will necessitate a penalty award.
Two beautiful breaks by the Exeter Chiefs midfielders. It was Rigg initially, and then the outside ball, big left-footed step by Slade, gets the fend on Clark, and then inside ball for all money. Ben Cowan was scoring, but a desperate tackle by Callum Chick.
We can't check it, it's a knock-on.
You just see here, this is the reverse angle of that Slade step and fend, and then the tap tackle from skipper Callum Chick. Desperation. However, Exeter Chiefs saw their maul do a bit of damage against Bristol last week. A good opportunity to launch from.
Jack Yendall's thrown into these lineouts in this stadium thousands upon thousands of times. Newcastle drive early, another penalty advantage secured for the home team as they look for just a third win of this Gallagher Premiership season.
Defended once.
Adam Brocklebank has infiltrated them all.
Number 8, early on the lifter. Number 8.
Callum Chick credited him for the tap tackle, but You just see here the pace with which...
Line out option.
I'm not sure it was actually Cowan-Dickie. It looked like it was Freddie Lockwood that 6 going in early. Obviously the Falcons understand the threat that can come from this maul, trying to jump the gun on it.
Round 2, rinse and repeats. Newcastle choose not to contest. Molina takes for Exeter. And Molina, the Puma, sounds the battle cry. Another penalty leaked by the Falcons. Blair in at the sides.
That's not. It wasn't a collapse. That's down by Black. You got advantage.
Hodge goes digging. A penalty once again will be required. And Callum Chick will receive a stern talking to.
No, I'm going to have a quick word. Huh? No, just wait a second. Daff, I don't need you a second, thanks. 3 quick penalties in the area, so we had the offside, we had yourself in the, early on the lifter, and now number 2 side entry. Any more in this area, someone's going to leave. It's over here on the 5. Number 2 side entry.
3 penalties in succession there. Adam Leal really clear with his messaging to Callum Chick, so Falcons have to get this one absolutely right.
Third maul opportunity on the bounce for Exeter. Molina didn't quite get to ground, didn't wrestle that ball. Now he's got to play. Yendall and Townsend hit hard. Cam kneeled up quickly. Alex Hurl up quickly.
Step. Nice.
Big test of this Newcastle defence. Conceding tries from inside their 22 at a rate of 45%.
Thank you.
Meaning almost every other opposition entry into the Newcastle 22 winds up in 5 points or more. This is Maloney, the ex-Leinsterman, an Ireland age grade flanker. Townsend, Slade, Cohen, so many playmakers. Here's another one. Skinner just tries to get on the outside of Davis. Off the deck to Hodge. Rigg, by hook or by crook, they'll get there. Unorthodox, unconventional, but unstoppable.
Yeah, it's a good finish by Rigg. A lot of the work done on the inside with the interplay. Slade out the back to Cohen, picked a beautiful pass for Skinner. You just see here, there's the ball at the back, Slade to Cohen, lovely pass across front. Here, Skinner's just going to pin his ears back. Great tackle in the cover by Davis, but from there, the ball back up off the ground. Rigg, the beneficiary, dives over. First 5 points for Exeter Chiefs, and it came off the back of pressure building, pressure building, pressure. Falcons thought they had managed to stop them all, but the first strike play off the back of it, excellently executed, and the home side have the first blood.
How's that from Henry Slade? He is a master of the Devonshire gusts. Knew exactly where that was blowing and how to swerve it back in between the uprights. Exeter 7, Newcastle 0.
Yeah, it'll be a concerning start for Steve Diamond. Just the power game of Exeter Chiefs building that pressure, and when the discipline's not there, it makes it really tricky. They knew that they were having to be extra careful there, maybe just held off a little bit defensively, and Exeter took their opportunity.
Conceded 12 tries in the opening 10 minutes of Premiership matches this season. And now make that 13 in as many matches.
Okay, use it please. Start on. We're outside, yeah.
Teaser from Townsend. Hodge slaps it back on the Chiefs side, and Capstick hoovers it up.
Yeah, he took a couple of box kicks to get a judgment of the wind there, but that one was right on the money by Townsend.
Fisila smashed by Jim Palfreman. One of the men Steve Diamond's put in to start today. A little bit scrappy. Rigg having to dive Tom Daly style to scoop it up. Yendall, 35 years of age, contract up at the end of the season. Dan Frost and Jack Innard leaving the club. Joseph Dewey, the Springbok, coming in that hooker position. Over to Yinbo, tussling with Maloney. It is Newcastle possession for the first time in 8.5 minutes. Conan looking for space. Skinner will cover the ground well.
Excellent cover by Harvey Skinner, because that kick was absolutely on the money by Brett Conan. When you consider Skinner's at the back, they're probably having to cover 50 metres of width, knowing that this near side touchline was under threat. Managed to catch that one 2 metres from the touchline. Excellent work from the fullback.
Feyi-Waboso sizing up Paul Brown-Bampo, the Exeter man. Too quick, too strong. And quickly onto his feet as well to contest. Palfreman, keen fly fisherman in his spare time, big South African. De Chavez, who made his 100th appearance in this competition.
Still in, lads. Use it,
Sale
please.
last weekend. Davis over the top of Molina.
Just wait till you
A lot of
put on,
distance
please.
on that kick. And once again, Skinner happy to mop things up.
Yeah, just a little bit too much on that one from Joe Davis, the youngster. What a huge afternoon starting for your home club a year out of school. Terrifying. 19 years old, straight out of school into the professional rugby ranks, and a starting debut on the road down here in Exeter. Great story.
What do you want from a first start like this one for Joe Davis? What kind of a game as a young scrum half are you looking to bring? Such a key position.
Yeah, so important, and he made a real impact off the bench last week. He really upped the tempo against the Sharks, and that's, I think, what's got him picked this week. We heard Steve Diamond talking before. He has got a lot of pace to his game. So what you want from your team, ultimately it's going to be built on the people in front of you. That one's just a little bit too far again from Joe Davis, albeit Brown-Bampo chosen not to make the mark.
He's a key running threat for the Chiefs. Brown-Bampo as Cohen hits Slade. Skinner stepping up alongside him, and away from Doherty, and then cannoning it off the chest of Will Rigg. Doherty picking up Max Clark, embarking on his first carry of the match.
Just falling to ground, no foul
Davis
play
gets the call from Blameyer to go blind. Yendel and Slade, two of the great Exeter stalwarts.
Exeter!
Squeeze him onto the
Okay,
paddock.
scrum advantage over.
Conan. Doherty stepping inside Jenkins. He saw that 1v1 and he liked it. Important cover tackle from Maloney. Palfreman sees a little gap looming before him. Davis. Conan. Chip called on the insides. Forward pass given, but a wonderful steal. Stu Townsend, of all people, getting onto it. And Josefa Scott is bouldering away and finding Franco Molina.
Tackle, let go, Newcastle.
Beaten all three of the Argentina's Rugby Championship rivals this season. Springboks, All Blacks, Wallabies. Not a bad body of work.
Okay, and use it, please.
Townsend please. These box kicks have been a source of great profit for Exeter Chiefs. Feyi-Waboso has scooped it up.
Off the Newcastle leg.
Obertine has done himself a mischief going after that ball, so Newcastle minus their fullback, but what a pick and what a moment. Steve Diamond's been talking him up for months, and Joe Davis repays the gaffer's faith. Predatory from the man making his Premiership starting debut.
Well, you asked Jamie what you'd look for on your first start, and a gift wrap present on the 13th minute is one of those things. Newcastle Falcons, he kept the tempo high until they were turned over, but defending on the edge here, he had the wherewithal to get up in line, spook the opposition, and he managed to pounce on the opportunity and bag his side a 5-pointer. I think they're just going to have a look there just to see if it went forward off Obertine. But from here, just going to see here if it did go. I think it maybe came off the knee. I'm not sure.
What you're hearing is that of David Rose, just alerting Adam Leo to the decision-making process that's going on here.
Just give us a second, please. Time off, please.
It just looks like it goes through both sets of arms.
Newcastle in the air. I had it live coming off his foot. I'm sure it does, yeah. Rosie, if it's not clear, mate, we're going to...
Yeah, Adam.
Yeah.
Just 1 second, last look.
Here's the end of it. Just
You're going to say that.
looking to
Now,
push that pass.
Adam, yeah, it's all good, mate. Try's good.
Thank you, try's good. Yeah.
Try given. What a moment for that young man, Joe Davis. He's bagged a couple off the bench, but he's got one in that starting jersey, and he's got his side right back in this game.
His Premiership debut in the opening round of the season against the Bristol Bears was so unexpected. His parents had booked a holiday to Ibiza. They were on the Balearics and they missed it. Henry Slade, goodness me, he's had some punishment in the last 7 days. Scott Seal missed the loss at Ashton Gate to see the birth of his latest child. Congratulations to the Seal clan. Slade to Maloney, and on the outside of Doherty. Steve Diamond talking about the chop tackle focus, the low tackle focus we'll see from Newcastle today. They want to get the player to ground and get over the ball, compete and jackal to win those turnovers. A vital part of their strategy. Brian Bampo, one of the shooting stars of this campaign. 2 men required to fell him. Jenkins, Capstick, owns a pizza franchise with his brother outside of the game. Cohen, Josefa Scott, little overlap here. Hodge zips the pass out to the lurking Fisilau. Father Kenny, a Tongan international. Yendo, Molina. Soft penalty, Adam Brocklebank just couldn't quite resist sacking the scrum half. How costly might it be for Newcastle? Cohen, man stopper from Obatuyimbo. Lamar hunting for the steal, didn't get it. Townsend, Seal. And Newcastle do get the penalty this time. Molina off his feet. And Newcastle doing the defensive job, but Alex Hurl just at the top of your shot. Down and receiving some treatment for now.
Yeah, the Chiefs trying to up the tempo a little bit. Quick tap penalty by Henry Slade. Ben Cohen on his inside read it well, but Newcastle Falcons just managed to get numbers behind the ball, and Molina desperately off his feet, knowing that there was a threat over the top of the ball on that occasion. The Falcons rewarded with a penalty, but that's one that Chiefs may reflect on and think, good opportunity to build that pressure again had they kicked to the corner. Instead they went quick, and on that occasion Falcons desperately managed to hold on. I think here's a try again for Joe Davis that evened things up for the visitors.
Working with a mile, Alex Harrell receiving treatments. Newcastle 22. Such a small squad that Steve Diamond is running. Don't have the potential to rotate much. The injuries are often costly. Went through a bit of a prop crisis earlier in the season. Adam Radwan, of course, has gone to Leicester Tigers. Max Pepper is going to Bristol Bears next season. Well, his brother Guy, who last summer was also in the West Country with Michael's Bath. But it's men like Joe Davis, Rory, that Newcastle are going to try to build a team around. You know it, you finish your career there. Such a fertile breeding ground for young talent.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think we're just going to see the Davis try there, jumping out the line. I think one of the strategy that Steve Diamond is now going for is to try and nail down some of these younger players in the long term. Joe Davis signed a 4-year contract, which means that they can start actually building these young players into the very tapestry of the club, rather than losing them after a season or two of whereby they get the opportunity to show how good they are.
2 lost lineouts now for the Falcons, and Josh Hodge, too much gas for Brocklebank, wants to burn Obatuyimbo. Burn Brampo with a big gazelle-like step and then a piston-like drive. How's he got that away? Townsend keeps it alive. He throws the dummy, then gets sandwiched between 2 heavyweights. Yendo to Molina, Cohen out the back, Skinner, Riggs coming short, but Skinner goes it alone. And Newcastle gum him up and stop the attack. Callum Chick with the captain's contribution.
Unbelievable scramble defence here by Falcons. Hodge with the initial break, gives it to Brown Bampo. Just look at that for raw strength. 2 men, 3 men into him, and he manages to get the offload away to Skinner, who threw a Hail Mary inside. Townsend got belted, but from there, just desperation. Falcons managed to keep the width in their defence and avoid conceding on the overlap. And when Chick got over the top of the ball, he hung on and won his side. A penalty and the opportunity to clear their lines. It was desperate Max Clark just hobbling his way back there. You just see middle of the picture, hobbling his way back, having got injured when conceding that line break. But Falcons breathe again on this occasion for now. Clark does look like he's still struggling.
Ollie Spencer is warming up beneath us in case he has to come on, the young centre. But a big throw this for Jamie Blamire. First two have not been successful. Neither is the third. Steal, I think, from Molina coming in there. And Hodge sets things up. Endel to Feyi-Waboso. What a couple of seasons he's had as a fledgling pro, the 21-year-old. Slades, no look past to Rigg.
I agree.
Joseph Scott, 145 kilograms. The New Zealander is English qualified, by the way, and has expressed an interest in wearing the rose. Summer tour to Argentina on the horizon. Just a little too hot to handle for Greg Feyi-Waboso.
No advantage, lost forward.
And Newcastle will have the scrum. I make it. Could be wrong. First scrum of the day. 19 minutes played.
I think you're right. Yeah, I mean it was the right pass that Cohen picked. I think it was just slightly low for Feyi-Waboso, but there we just see the Falcons line out woes continue. Is that one not going to hand? Just opposition up there. Feyi-Waboso there, pass slightly too low for him to be able to gather it. Such an impressive athlete, you mentioned, Jamie. Young man, real power, raw power. You know, not enormous, in which says a lot, given that he is some specimen. But it's his power game. It's his ability to ride a tackle and make a hit that probably, with the power, is above his weight category. Max Clark is going to stay on for now, but you can just see he's definitely carrying something. He's going to try and give it time to shake it off, and for now Falcons have certainly the start of possession from the first scrum.
Crouch!
This is more like Exeter's first choice front row than the trio they selected at Ashton Gate.
Set!
Couple of men missing, some rested for this match. And it's Newcastle who exert the squeeze, and then Capstick comes through, and we'll do it all again.
I'm relieved to hear see Adam Leo blow his whistle and allow them to re-scrum that.
Start forming up and I'll explain. You need to stay straight. You need to keep your bind. So your bind comes off and you don't stay straight, so we're having the same scrum.
Two wrongs don't make a right there, but Adam Leo did say to Joe Davis, play it away, and then
good work pre-ball, lads.
I think one of the Exeter back rowers managed to get in with a boot and from there dislodge the ball out of the scrum. But now, of course, the slight tweaks in the law does protect the 9 at scrum time when the ball is at the back. The opposition scrum half not allowed to pass the midway point of the scrum to be able to compete at the base. It's totally changed the dynamic now for scrum halves, not having that threat, not having that pressure, the ability to clear, but also if they choose to pick up from the number 8, even running to the side that the scrum half's on, you get a couple of metres to build a bit of momentum as well. So certainly favours the attacking team.
Newcastle with the dominance there again. Conan over to Yinbo, looking for Doherty on his shoulder. Well, he grew up in the same part of Manchester, just about the same street as Steve Diamond, albeit several decades later. Lockwood going harder to Feyi-Waboso, sitting down the young number 8.
We're inside the half
Clark,
at the moment.
looked a bit forwards, knocked on in any case by Palfreman. As we've seen far too often from a Newcastle point of view this season, the Falcons attack
I think they had a whole step to the left as well.
pottering out rather quickly.
Yeah, well, Steve Diamond spoke in the week and before the game about just the error count. He said, you know, you're going to make 1, 2, 3 errors which are unavoidable in a game, but it's trying to reduce the number of avoidable errors, and that's just one there. Whether it was Clark just not getting the pass away quick enough, but probably more so his outside men just getting a little bit too flat, having to force that pass forwards, didn't go to hand, and as a result it gives Exeter the scrum platform from which they've Interesting setup. Ben Cowan fly half right behind with Harvey Skinner. They've got the option to sweep either side, normally with the side that the front row twists towards, so that you get the overlap in numbers.
Here come the Chiefs. Slade running straight and hard, and a wonderful pick-up and pass from young Ben Cowan. Kept that alive beautifully. Such dexterity on show. Townsend, Fisilal, Cowan. Slade now zipping the pass away to Capstick, who had to release quickly. Brown Bampo against an injured Max Clark, who puts his head in the spokes bravely. Josefa Scott. Cowan introducing the captain, Jenkins. There's the shoveling in the middle. Slade, Cowan, melted. Connor Doherty read that and splintered the young man's midriff. Molina, opportunity on his outside. Molina takes the direct route. Skinner, and Rick just drops it. Just not quite clicking for Exeter, Rory, but there are signs, encouraging signs, that there's fluency, there's ambition in their attack.
Yeah, absolutely. They're inaccurate at the moment. There was an accurate tackle though from Doherty, but they are just inaccurate enough at the moment that they're not sealing those passes. The passes aren't quite on the money. The catch pass opportunity off the back of that means that things are just slowed down. It's a little bit clunky at the moment, and Newcastle Falcons defence has the hunger to be able to mean that they're just doing enough to be able to hold on. And so Max Clark, you know, he is wounded at the moment. Yeah, he ended up with a one-on-one with Paul Brown Bampo, made the effort to get across, made that tackle, wounded again. You just saw there's the knock-on from Rigg. Just not quite the cohesion that you need to be able to unlock the defences. Cowan had a lovely touch in there when he got the ball out the back from Slade, and it was low, and that came again just from he was just a little bit slow off the mark from the starting scrum. He was 4 meters deep rather than being 2 meters off the shoulder, and as a result he had to reach for it. Lovely dexterity of hands to be able to get that ball up and into the hands of Skinner next to him, but just those little things stop you from being able to unlock the defence. And at the moment it's maybe just teething troubles in the opening 25 minutes that Rob Baxter and the players on field will be desperate to try and smooth over in the minutes that are coming up.
Let's go, Paul. Go on, boys. Same again.
Crouch!
Newcastle have only won at Sandy Park once in the 15 years that Exeter have been in the top flight. That came in 2021, a 15 points to 14 victory here. Ben Stevenson, who's on the wing today with a crucial try. Scrum pinwheels around. Newcastle have a freebie. Davis to Lockwood. Conan making tracks to support Davis. So that's a clever kick. And big Franco Molina's got a chase. It's a stampede of forwards from both teams doing the chasing. Skinner against Blamire. Fullback will sweep round in the nick of time. There we go. The big beasts of the Sandy Park Savannah let loose.
That's one for Davis. It's actually the right kick. I think he actually ends up catching Ben Stevenson, his near side winger, off guard with that. Saw space, maybe just a decision that he made, entrepreneurial. Saw the space, kicked the ball into the space, didn't quite have the chase to be able to properly threaten to score.
Slade with a steepling restart. Chavez hoisted. Brown Bampo taps it down. So athletic, such a spring on him, the winger. Forwards. Seal, 74 caps for Australia. If we said prop, and a Newcastle penalty.
That's twice. Your arrival is really negative. You're just going straight off your feet. You're denying any opportunity to contest.
Yeah, for the second time this afternoon, Franco Molina, that man in picture there, his work rate is huge already this afternoon, but for the second time he arrives at the ruck as the first man over the top of Scott Seal, and he just goes off his feet. We'll just see here, straight off his feet over the ball. Means that Jamie Blamire has no opportunity to get over on the jackal. There's got to be an allowance for the competition. And now Newcastle Falcons have the opportunity. Joe Davis found them this field position with the kick into the in-goal area, and Falcons now have the first chance to properly launch this maul attack on their hosts.
Exeter have conceded an eye-popping 7 maul tries this season, 2 of them up at Kingston Park in Newcastle. Gino Mayer, the architect of their downfall that day, crabbing towards the touchline. Mayer will have to play this. Off he trundles, cut down by Feyi-Waboso. Townsend hunting for the steal. Davis waits for the heavies to arrive. Lockwood, one of the heaviest.
No, let go, that's it. Well left.
Davis, Callum Chick moving towards the posts. What a boon it would be for the Falcons if they could convert this pressure into points. 1 in 5 of their 22 entries. Such a wasteful number, ending in tries in the league this season. Davis, Conan to Clark, and he's turboing through. He's walking wounded, Max Clark, but he roars like a lion as he punctures the Chiefs' defence. Newcastle have 2 tries.
It's patient, it's industrious, it's the grunt work. But just when the opportunity comes to go a little bit quick, Palfreman with the carry. Davis in there quickly, Molina again in front of him, front 5 forward. Hodge has to step in. With Hodge stepping in on the second row's shoulder, little pop off to Clark. Clark just hits an arm. The power gets him through, and Falcons take the lead. They've taken the opportunity, and they've got their 5-pointer.
Max Clark was left without a club this summer. He was training with Saracens, playing matches as a guest for Ampthill in the Championship. Steve Diamond snapped him up, and Max Clark doing the business again for his new team. Collins' kick drifting wide, but Newcastle lead by 5. Dozen minutes of this first half left.
Yeah, it's poor defence from the Exeter Chiefs. You just see the finisher there. It wasn't lightning quick ball, but they just couldn't get the numbers round the corner to front up in front of the Falcons defence. Simple hands. Clark gets an outside shoulder and bags the 5-pointer.
Brian Bampo again, what a weapon he is in the air. And Exeter immediately can turn the tables on Newcastle. Molina to Maloney. They're flooding down the left. Maloney shackled by Clark.
No.
But suddenly, Exeter flick the switch from that restart. They regain more restarts than any other team in England, and Paul Brown Bampo's leap is a huge part of that. Seo will have a seat Nield. Townsend, space offered to him, wheeling out of a couple, and then the penalty for obstruction.
That's a coach killer, so unfortunate. Stu Townsend just wants Molina to hold his width a little bit here. He goes into the gap knowing that he's going to step and twist the defender out of it. He just wanted to pull one of those front 5 forwards in by telling lies about where his intention was to go. He spun out of it. Molina came on that short ball, and by doing so, when Townsend ended up to wriggle free, he went behind Molina, who had interfered with the tackler. I think it was Blameyer that got in the way, and then from there, crossing called by the referee. Falcons trying to go quick, win that line out over the top.
Max Clark won it, then lost it on the deck. Well stolen by the Chiefs. Oh no, it wasn't. Illegally stolen. Bit of skullduggery on the floor, and back-to-back penalties conceded by Exeter.
I think that's the right call. Newcastle Falcons got their line out back working now. They choose to take all of the defensive lifting threat out of play with that one over the top.
Yeah, I can see it. Well, number 3 it looks like.
Yendel, I think, deemed to have put his hands in on that one. Ruck formed. And again, Falcons managing to use this tailwind at the moment to their advantage, getting to the red zone. Bagged 5 last time here. Can they continue to build pressure?
Scored 21 tries this season. 13 of them have stemmed from line-out possession. Clark again. Oh my goodness, he's been cleaved in 2 by Greg Feyi-Waboso. Conan Check back door to Obatiyimbo. Saucy stuff from the Falcons, this.
No, Jack, not now, not now, not now.
Gendell's done a good job of gumming up that Newcastle possession. Forte and Clark. There's a 1-2 with the centre partner. Looking to kick for Stevenson, but Molina again nuisancing, menacing, turning that ball over. And Skinner. Rigg. Can he bust out from deep? Will Rigg, one of Exeter's men of the season. In troubling times, he has stood tall in the Cup and the league. With a big performance against Bristol, more line breaks, more gain line carries than any other player at Ashton Gate. Watch Brown Bampo here. Pop, up he gets. And there was obstruction from Ben Stevenson, just denying Brown Bampo the opportunity to compete. Gets you that call from Harry Walbaum, the near side assistant referee.
Number 11 in front of the ball. Back you go, please.
Just see the pesting of Franco Molina there. Wondered if that one had maybe gone forward off him. Just seeing the influence of the breeze here. Townsend again puts that up pretty well. Stevenson there has the right to question. He actually went up to compete for that ball, and I think he was deemed to have obstructed the route to the ball. He's still questioning the official on the near touchline. Hard done by there.
All 8 forwards, part of this Exeter line-out. Townsend, Slade playmaking, Brown Bampo, tackle breaking. Townsend again, he's so dangerous around the fringes. Hawkins shutting the door.
Your tackler's got to come off in first.
Maloney, capstick. Just where the Chiefs of old would grind and carry and bludgeon their way to pay dirt. But more expansive these days. The laws have changed, the Chiefs' blueprint with them. Seo, oh, great meeting of muscle between the two loose heads. Newcastle on the ball again, but they're going to be done for Brockoblanc not rolling away beforehand.
You're fine. You need a tackler.
It's so often the case. The tackler, the low tackler, that chop that Steve Diamond talks about, he's got to get out of the way. And there's the collision there. Seo and Brockoblanc. Brockoblanc ends up getting caught on top of Seo, and as a result can't get out of there. Therefore, the jackler has no rights on top of the ball. The jackler was legal, but he's got no rights because the tackler can't get out of there. And now it's Exeter's turn to get that field position. How are your arrows, Jack Yendall?
Yendall hits double top, and then Feyi-Waboso spilled the payload, but he spilled it because again there was an early shunt coming in, and having warned Newcastle last time we were down here, Adam Leal is plucking the yellow card from his pocket, and it's Richard Palfreman who's heading off for 10.
Number 3, early on the lifter. Wait a second.
Yeah, it's clearly been a tactic in the approach that the Falcons have set out to take. Attack that maul. You can't allow them to build momentum, so they go early. I'm not sure that Palfreman was actually the guilty party again on that occasion there. Perhaps the nearest number that the far side official could pick up.
This time Yendall plays the 1-2, barrels towards the corner flag. A sneak attack from the Chiefs. Jenkins nosedives. Seo waits and then thrusts. Exeter within 4 minutes of levelling this match. Townsend, a little snipe. Can't get through the big boys. They stack the left-hand side. Molina has a crack. A great swathe of home jerseys out there. Feyi-Waboso gets dynamited. Cam Neild timed the shot perfectly.
Strapped under your own man's body.
Maloney digs it out. Josefa Scott.
Yeah, well done. Thank you.
Capstick. You can see those chop tackle, those low scythes from Newcastle coming in around the ankles. Molina brought down by Clark and Conan, but front foot ball. Slade. Oh, Brockoblanc went for it. He got a hand on that. Could be talking serious trouble for Newcastle. There is a penalty, but it's for offside from that ruck.
Yeah, that was definite hand in the cookie jar there from...
Ball was out, but there's a ruck.
Yeah, Brocklebank again. So a couple of incidents there.
Adam.
Just stepped in from the side. There is shaking the head, doesn't agree with it, but you just see around the corner here, he manages to get in the way of that inside pass, and then if you watch just body language here, just stands alongside the ruck, deems it to have gone out of the ruck and just can't avoid the temptation of being drawn in to go for it.
From one touchline to the other. Exeter with their tanks parked on Newcastle's front lawn. Townsend adds his slight figure to the drive. Paul Brown-Bampo adds his more muscular one. Slade and Rick coming in there. All but 3 Chiefs are part of this drive, and Newcastle have no answer. Martin Maloney comes up with a pill, but there were 13 proud sons of Exeter doing the heavy lifting in front of him.
Yeah, and a try just built on physics. You're able to get Molina double tops from Yendel, and then from there they just build the wall. You see all of those black jerseys at the front, the ball is there at the back, and then the power comes on. Townsend initially just adds his 85 or so kilos. From there you get Paul Brown-Bampo comes in, and they're driving that human wedge forwards. Maloney it is who comes up with the goods. And the Chiefs have their response to even things up.
Well, this time from Henry Slades, so we're all square with 2 minutes remaining in this first half.
Thanks, Andy.
Yeah, it's the maul that we saw. It was effective at Ashton Gate against the Bristol Bears last weekend. A lot of power in that maul, and then when it comes down to it, when you're chucking 2 or 3 more men than the defence can afford to lose from their defensive line, and of course 1 man down in that pack already with Palfreman on the naughty chair.
If you're going to be significantly slower, I'll just put the time off. Okay.
Adam Leal having a word there with Brett Conan, just to say, I'm conscious that you're trying to run that yellow card clock down and get to half-time.
Over to Yimbo. Here's a long one from Skinner. Looks to embark on a little stuttering charge of his own, and introduces Alex Herrell. Yendel quickly onto the ball, didn't quite get his hands on the leather. Hawkins stopped by Feyi-Waboso. Davis, Conan, over to Yimbo, throwing the dummy, then sending it wide where Doherty is lurking. He's kicked it straight to Josh Hodge, who took that so beautifully, and off swaggers the winger, Molina. Chiefs looking to run from distance through Feyi-Waboso. Eventually he's scragged.
Just for a second or two, the opportunity was there to try and get down the left flank, but Falcons just did enough to be able to hold on defensively, plug the threat, and from there forcing the Exeter Chiefs to kick out.
Is there to be a final twist in the tail of this first half? Knocked on in the air by Herrell, and then the penalty's been given against Exeter. A legal challenge on Alex Herrell.
Yeah, just hit a man on the floor.
Yeah, just a little nudge through there by Doherty, read well by Hodge.
He didn't have the ball, he just jumped on the floor.
Hodge did well there, wasn't like slip catcher.
Shall it go?
Went on the counter attack, and Falcons here looking conscious of where the clock is at the moment and the opportunity they have to just nudge away and get that 3-point lead, which,
as far as I'm concerned,
as well as on the scoreboard, psychologically for them, away from home, they would come away thinking, build some pressure, get the scoreboard moving. Not sure what that penalty was for, actually. There it looked like Hodge had gone up legally, nudged it backwards, but the penalty is there for Conan the opportunity to go into the dressing room with a lead here at Sandy Park.
It was unnecessary, so foul play, but
close to 50 metres from his target. The final act of an even first 40 minutes. Giving it a fair old lick, Brett Conan, and the flags are raised. Sandy Park is hush, and Newcastle, yes, Newcastle are winning away from home in the battle of the teams fighting to avoid that bottom spot. It is the Falcons, who haven't won in forever, since November 2022, who have that slender advantage at the break. Half-time at Sandy Park, Exeter Chiefs 12, Newcastle Falcons 15.
okay.
The hosts will be desperate to try and turn the tables.
No changes for either side at half-time, although Newcastle will still have around 4 minutes to negotiate with Richard Halfman in the sin binning. Went off in 34 minutes. It will be Exeter to kick us going. Close to 900 days since Newcastle won a Premiership match away from home. Their aggregate score on the road this season in the league, 14 points for, 41 points conceded. Ugly numbers, ugly numbers. Is it their time to come of age on their travels, or will the Chiefs make their statistical dominance tell? Paul Brown-Bampo again, up he goes like a salmon with a springboard.
There's the ball, okay. And use it, please. Start onside, lovely.
Exeter with 72% of the possession in the first half, 69% of the territory. Made it into Newcastle's 22 11 times as Stevenson goes hurtling after it. Won't take it. But Exeter certainly have played all the rugby and will be deeply irked not to have more to show for it. But here we go, a human boulder, Yosefa Scott, motoring up to the 22. Cohen, Maloney, just dealt with by Obato-Yinbo. Skinner, an array of playmakers to stand at first receiver for the Chiefs, and Jenkins then to rattle some cages. Yendel. Chiefs starting the second half with fire and fury. Have they got a killer touch to polish it off, to retake the lead? Skinner, Cohen, oh, Riggs lost it. Big error, and Stevenson will look to make them pay here. Brown-Bampo makes sure there's no breakaway.
Don't pin him in, one. Okay. Use it, please.
Frenetic opening 90 seconds to this decisive half of rugby. Davis will land this on Henry Slades, who was met hard.
Two brilliant box kicks by Davis into the breeze in this second half, but they're almost back to exactly the same point that Yosefa Scott made that lightning break just moments ago, and again, just messy stuff by the Chiefs again.
No knock on there, so Yosefa Scott can rouse his mighty frame and have another run. Townsend, Hodge has got space. He'll fancy his chances against Clark. Away he goes, onto Molina. Clark and Conan recover. Exeter just not turning those line breaks into points at the moment. This is Cohen and Seo. Again, the offload options there. Skinner, Slade, dusty pass. And Rigg couldn't take it. And with a little help from TMO David Rose, Adam Leo has spotted the knock-on.
I'd be fascinated to know, this is the first break of that second half. Yosefa Scott there, straight through. He just didn't have any of the pacey outside backs on his shoulder, so it came to nothing in the end. This is the most recent break there by Hodge. Gets the ball away to Molina. Conan holds on desperately from there, but just slight inaccuracies again. You see just Cohen here, gets the ball across, Seo does well to get it away. Skinner to Slade, Slade under a bit of pressure, just drops that pass onto the toes of Rigg, and he wasn't able to gather it, so it came to nothing on that occasion.
Double sub for Exeter Chiefs. Stu Townsend purpling off injured. Tom Cairns will come on at scrum half for him, and a welcome return to rugby for big Rusi Tuima in jersey 19. First game for him in 6 weeks after picking up a jaw injury a couple couple of months ago. Franco Molina, who's had a busy old 42 minutes in the engine room, and Trip-off. There's Tom Cairns, coming man from Teignmouth, too far from here. Big season last term. Meanwhile, Newcastle have, of course, had to sacrifice a player to make up the full complement of front rower. So Murray McCallum is on. There's his enormous chest protruding beyond Adam Neal. He's about 3 times the circumference of the referee, Big Muzza. And Alex Hurl has been sacrificed, the winger, for the time being. Still another minute and a half or so on Paul Freeman's penance.
Bind! Set!
Murray McCallum holding up his side of the scrummage, allowing Obato Yinbo to maraud down the short side.
Okay, use it.
Davis. John Hawkins, voted recently by Steve Diamond, most likely in the Falcons squad,
Okay, use it, please.
to order his dinner off the children's menu on a night out.
Let's go! No, 7.
Davis, good hand time on that kick. Brown Bampo, first to it, gets rid of a couple of challenges. Broke 7 tackles in Bear Country last weekend. Youssefa Scott to Yendel. Busy front rowers for the Exeter Chiefs. Skinner stepping up, Cowan lurking. Rigg steps away from Conan. Explosiveness in those limbs. Tuima's first touch. Typically, it's a mighty one, and then just losing it. So intent on he was on wreaking maximum havoc.
Oh, he did so much good in here. You just see Rigg there with the initial break, gets the offload away. Just get off Callum Chick. Doherty managed to just get in there and get a hand on the ball in a desperate effort to stop the rampaging Tuima. It was just that third engagement for Tuima with that Newcastle Falcon that just couldn't quite hold onto that ball. If he had got an offload away there, it was almost certainly going to lead to a try, but Newcastle Falcons hold on, and they'll just be desperate to play out the last of this yellow card, get themselves back in this game, and it's much harder for them in the second half to get any cheap and easy exits playing into the breeze.
Well, the yellow card period has just elapsed. Richard Palfman back on, Alex Hurl too, and an immediate impact from the Newcastle tight head here.
I beg your pardon, I think it was Adam Leal deeming that it was Youssefa Scott, that huge figure in picture there, that went too quickly to ground.
Use the 10, please, Exeter.
The line-out was a nagging sore for Newcastle in the first half, so they're not standing on ceremony. Clark can't twirl away from Fisilao. Davis looking for options. Cam Neild, an ever willing one, another of Steve Diamond's long-time players at the Sale Sharks. Davis, Conan running down a blind alley here. This is Doherty, not going to get through Seo and Tuima. Davis digging it out. Conan kicking for the corner. This will chase Skinner all the way back to his 22.
Exeter, wait!
And Newcastle will take that outcome. We're pretty much back where we started. In fact, it's a fine pressure-leaving kick from Skinner, and Newcastle are 12 metres further back.
Yeah, Conan just looking to hit ground there and hope that the bounce of the ball bamboozles Skinner, but again he's covered that backfield really well. And once again now he's got the tailwind to be able to just set that ball free and just let the breeze do the rest of it, and he managed to find a good exit on that occasion. And we're going to see a number of changes are starting to come from Exeter Chiefs. I think it's Rigg now is off. Tamati Tua coming on in that midfield now. Power replaces Power.
Well done, Chiefs. Thank you, Tommy. Stay 2, please, thank you.
Well at the front, but Chavez, with all his experience securing possession for Newcastle.
Use it!
So Davis. Paul was just not getting the choreography right. Brett Conan was screaming at Brocklebank to take up his customary post at first receiver.
No one held it. You should have just picked it up. Okay, use it, please. Stand up!
There's a big tussle between Tuima and Neild going on off the ball. We might get another look at that in a moment. Meantime, there's chaos in the rutted middle of the pitch. Obuti with Hawkins for company, trying to get around Tom Cairns, who has lassoed him down by his wrist. Neild came flying in at an awkward angle.
Okay, use it, please.
Does feel like a game between two teams who have endured much torment this season, neither with the fluency, the accuracy that you would expect at this stage of the season. Well, Baxter saying pre-match his team had almost forgotten how to win. Chick, an ever-willing presence for Newcastle. His dad played for the Gosforth club that eventually morphed into the Falcons back in the 90s. Newcastle have won the penalty and they will gleefully dribble it up.
Both hands on the ground before he makes the tackle.
Again, just the discipline going from the Exeter Chiefs.
Number 4 needs to wrap.
Which is ill-advised, particularly Newcastle Falcons struggling to have, they've not got the same physical prowess as some of the athletes in the Chiefs, and with the playing into the breeze, it makes it much more difficult for them to be able to earn those yards through their kicking game. But we just see here, David Jenkins there goes to ground really early, so he's off his feet. It's just poor tackle technique by the Chiefs skipper on that occasion. Falcons rewarded with a penalty.
Conan to Clark, busting up the middle. Davis. Schick had to get rid of that quickly, but found only the muddy patch of turf.
Back into the 50.
Obuti
So no
intelligent
50.
kick. And Skinner again does the covering and the dummying. Tidy from Harvey Skinner.
Inside now.
Conan.
Inside the 50 here.
Stevenson will give chase to
Work out
this.
Newcastle. Always retiring.
Stevenson got up really well, but it's
Down and hit his leg.
fumble back to Josh Hodge, and now Exeter perhaps with broken field play through the great Yendel. Cairns, CO, Tuima, back to CO. Wonderful rugby from Exeter. Capstick, Tuima's thundering up the upside. Capstick decked by Conan. And Exeter steaming up to the 22. Josefa Scott, Skinner, it's a teasing ball over the top. Look out, Brown Bample's on the rampage. Off he goes, just can't free the hands to Slade. They might not need to, mind you. Newcastle have held him up. They will fancy their chances of cocooning Paul Brown Bample in a Falcons snare. That's big, really big.
Oh, the super strength of the Falcons has been their scramble defence, this lovely initial play. Beautiful stuff by Tuima and CO, and then Capstick on the charge takes them close to the 22, and then Brown Bample, look at this right-footed step, takes two defenders out. Clark does well on the inside though, and Clark and Doherty both fighting to keep that ball up off Paul Brown Bample. Do excellent job of just sealing that ball off, turning a tackle into a maul, and as soon as it goes to ground he wins his side. They win their side. A scrum put in. Desperate stuff by the Falcons defence. Exeter so close to unlocking the visitors' defence, but once again they just managed to hold on, and a few running repairs. Adam Brocklebank there, and also Joe Davis. Heavily strapped knee now, but Falcons are just doing enough to hold on, and Exeter are maybe 10-15% off where they need to be to make turn these half breaks into clean breaks.
How impressed have you been by that young man today, Rory?
I think he's had an excellent game so far. I think in the first half, and it's difficult here at the top of the stand, whereby we're actually quite sheltered to really estimate just how strong that breeze is. But in the flags are certainly fluttering an awful lot. And I think in the first half, as a result, he was kicking box kicks that were probably going 15 metres too far. There we see the flag in picture, but in this second half, his basic skill set has been very good. He obviously notched the 5-pointer with some brave high-line defence, and he's rallied a side that doesn't have the same power as Exeter Chiefs do. He's managed to keep them chugging along, and they're staying in the fight so far with 30 minutes to go.
Exeter are about to bring on a whole new front row, and with another scrum penalty conceded, perhaps that is why Rob Baxter is about to send for reinforcements. 9 penalties now Exeter have conceded. Rob Baxter talking this week about the changes that have been made to the coaching structure over the past couple of weeks. Rob Hunter has stepped up from forwards coach to become head coach. He said he's not afraid to really rip things up, to address the flaws, to try and park some of the pain that Exeter have endured this year, having produced such an encouraging season last term. And new players like Tom Cairns, like Josh Hodge, Tommy Wyatt, Greg Feyi-Waboso in that early 20s age bracket. Sean, and upstage some of the big dogs of English rugby. But Ali Heifer stepping back now to work with their academy talent, help it transition to the senior ranks. And widely rumoured that former Falcons head coach Dave Walder, who was most recently with the England under-20s and the Bristol Bears, will be the new attack coach starting next season. That's still to be confirmed by the club, but being widely reported in the national print media.
Still going. Okay, well done for.
In the meantime, Jamie Vermeyer is at the rudder of this maul. Davis to the skies. Stevenson against Brown Bampo, who's come a very long way. He's a steam train. Goodness me. That was colossal. The upshot, though, is Newcastle possession.
Yeah, this is just managing conditions. Excellent kick by Davis, gave Stevenson the chance to get up on that, gain 15 metres and rinse and repeat.
Stevenson and Brown Bampo again. Brown Bampo winning the physical tussles, but just not quite grappling the ball under control. And Newcastle have piggybacked through 2 box kicks, some 40 metres downfield. Conan to Chick, hit hard on the gain line by Cowan and Maloney. Davis, little juggle. Conan wanted the kick, and his options were shut down in front of him. Each of the new front rowers, Blossy, Jimmy Roots and Max Nori, standing guard.
Thank you.
Again, just setting up position.
No advantage coming back.
Yeah, they're going to come back, I think, for a knock-on from the box kick. Joe Davis on the money. There's the first of them. Brown Bampo coming from miles back. Stevenson underneath it. Good contest, but Bampo coming 20 miles an hour. I think that was the second one that was the knock-on that's now given, and you can tell that the Falcons and their style of play and their ability to just build this pressure with the box kick chase, rinse and repeat. Joe Davis has been on the money, and it's starting to frustrate this home crowd who want more from their charges. They want to see more, and they're seeing too much of Newcastle Falcons winning these 50-50s at the moment.
So we're going to carry on.
Paul Brown Bampo, by the way, was captain of his school basketball club, which no great surprise when you see the spring and the pounce that he has. Was also captain of the debate club, Reed School in Surrey. Look back at some of the tries we've seen so far, 2 apiece. This one opening the scoring, Rory, with Will Rigg. Unorthodox, but it worked out in the end.
Yeah, did all of the work was done on the inside. You just see that there's his pass there out the back to Cowan, and Cowan was put under pressure by the Falcons defence, and he pushed the pass. Davis benefited, and then Clark there off the end of those pick and goes and round the corner. Falcons forwards work, and then that final try of the first half scored there by Martin Maloney from the Chiefs Maul. So far in the second half, scoreless. But it's been a bit of a game of chess, and Falcons at the moment are picking their moves, building their way step by step upfield, and managing to just chip away at the belief and confidence of the Exeter Chiefs on and off field in the stands at the moment.
No team has conceded more scrum penalties than the Chiefs in the Premiership this season. They're up to 23 in 13 matches. That's the 3rd of today's affair, and it has allowed Newcastle just a 4th visit to the Exeter 22 in a little under an hour's worth of rugby. Can they bag a 3rd try? Can they open up a 2-score lead in Devon? Here's Brocklebank. Scored his first try in 134 Newcastle matches on their Prem Cup run so long ago. Stevenson working off his wing. Lamire, out of nowhere, came tumbling around the corner. Davis, Brocklebank, sliding away from Tuima. Jenkins and Blossé toss him backwards.
You're not impacting it.
Connor now looks to orchestrate something. Inside ball to Clark. Have Newcastle got the weaponry and the accuracy to turn this into more points?
Not now, not now. Tackle of move first.
Conan, Lamire running out to win. What an athlete he is. The England hooker. Kneeled. Oh, what a collision. Torpedoed by Jimmy Roots. Ouch. Conan, crossfield kicks on. Look at the space Herl has to work in here. Hodge comes across, misses him. Herl's got runners on the inside. Herl looking to do it all on his own. Crucial tackle from Henry Slades. And then a brilliant jackal to save the day for Exeter. Daft Jenkins, the skipper, comes up with a whopper.
It would have been 10 or 15 minutes ago. Daft Jenkins was over the top of the ball and looked up to the referee to ask for permission. And Adam Leal actually said to him, you had all the rights on that one. This occasion, he did it, but this was the opportunity. Hurl steps inside. Skinner desperately went for that. I felt he maybe should have just gone off his right foot there and just pinned his ears back. The opportunity was there. It was a great step to beat the initial charge from Josh Hodge, but the skipper stepped in with a crucial steal. Max Clark's afternoon is done. It looked 50 minutes ago like he was wounded. He's managed to fight and stay on field, scored a try, but Falcons now make the changes. Hurl, I think, is going to slot in the midfield.
Yeah, Ollie Spencer on, he'll play on the wing. Hurl into 13. And Exeter now imbued with belief from that turnover and this momentum. Slater not got on the tackle perhaps from Conan. Cohen stabs it down to Ollie Spencer. Welcome to the match, young man. Can't make too much yardage from that angle with that pressure. Smart play from Ben Cohen.
Yeah, it was smart. Good backfield coverage by Ollie Spencer. Always nice to get a first touch, particularly in the back three, and one whereby you get a little bit of time. Given the wind that he's kicking into, he's done relatively well there, but Cohen did well to see the space in behind. It's tricky initial bounce for Spencer to deal with, but just managed to compose himself, find a touch.
Jenkins claims at the front. So the maul starts to fragment, and Max Norrie sees a space beside the referee to exploit. Ball dislodged on the ground, but no knock on. Capstick in a standing start. Cairns, Tamati Tua, the former Brumby, a brilliant partnership in Super Rugby with Wallaby Len Ikitau. Fisi Lau, space down the left. Fisi Lau running into Chicken de Chavez. But not rolling away to Chavez, so Chick can't be rewarded.
It was so clear, wasn't it? De Chavez, a big man, in on that tackle. You've just got to put in 3-4 seconds worth. You see there, he's just got to put 3 or 4 seconds worth of effort in. Yes, he's got a leg over the top of him there. You could argue he's been pinned down, but just show that you're trying to get out of there. Just makes it too easy, but I think that one's gone touch and goal from Cohen, so an unforced error again. The opportunity there to pin the Falcons back, get a 5-metre line out, but that was gone in the in goal. Gives the Falcons another joker to play. Loads of changes in the front row now. So Adam Leal will be keen to set the tone here in the scrum.
First scrummage with this new Exeter front row of Blose, Nori and Jimmy Roots, younger brother of Ethan, who is still missing through injury for the next couple of weeks. Ross Vincent as well in that back row department suspended. Last game of his ban today. Scrum breaks up, and it's another Newcastle penalty. They are destroying the Chiefs set piece, and Adam Leal will warn now of potential further punishment.
I'll just speak to the captain. We've got the tight head up under pressure, Daffy. I don't need you, it's fine. No, so what we're seeing is, I'm seeing them driving square and your tight head standing up under pressure, but it's actually just a succession of penalties at the scrum now. If we don't see a change of behaviour, players staying down and staying square, someone's going to leave in the scrum, okay?
Very clear from Adam Leal.
Tight head up under pressure.
Jimmy Roots up under pressure from Adam Brocklebank. He's doing a great job, 60 minutes in, managing to continue to exert that power game on. Fresh legs coming off the bench, fresh front row, but just some of the dark arts that most of us don't understand. He's got that edge, painting the right picture for Adam Leal and being rewarded accordingly.
Joe Davis' profitable first Prem start is over. Veteran Sam Stewart is on to replace him, and that's a pretty clear obstruction just across line between Neild and Doherty, and an easy penalty.
Oh, it is so frustrating for the Falcons there. Beautiful off the top ball, gorgeous pass by Sam Stewart right out in front of the intended target, and just a mix-up. Two runners both going into that same gap. Excellent work there.
Oh wow, Ollie Spencer. And you can hear the Newcastle players, Callum Chick among them, roaring their approval. The youngster with a brilliant piece of scavenging work.
See, he's miles out of play here, but because his feet, he gets that ball and his feet land in play. Obatiimbo manages to find touch off the back of it.
Here come Exeter though, Tua, straight through the middle. Cairns, Tuima, he's a big old man to stop. Cairns, Maloney, one out carries from the Chiefs, tenderising this Newcastle defence. Nori running hard.
You hit the ground first.
Feyi-Waboso, Cohen tipped the pass on, it went backwards. Brown Bampo trying to bake a cake with crumbs here. Tuima. Feyi-Waboso.
Tackle Newcastle, no! He's got to move first, clearly.
Newcastle so far handling the body blows that the Chiefs are throwing their way. Slow ball for Cairns. Cohen passes flat to Nori. Oh, have a seat. Lamire, hooker on hooker. Quenzo Blose, the South African, summer recruit from the Stormers of Cape Town. Jenkins on the stretch. Tua pulling it back for Slade. This is where Exeter can come alive. Slade caught. Callum Chick slows it up. Tua, Cohen around the corner, flicks it on the inside to Nori. Good continuity this from the Chiefs. Can they find the penetration they crave? Tuima, neat presentation, but Callum Chick gets over it. And down below us, the desks of the Newcastle coaches, the feet of the Newcastle subs are thundering in the main stand.
Once again, just this desperation, this fight, this hunger in defence. So clear to see by Newcastle Falcons, led of course by Callum Chick, who just loves it, loves the physicality, loves having to find a new resilience within this squad. And they're just continuing to build belief on the road, staying in this fight, scoreless in the second half, but they still have the lead. And they're taking these moments when they can control the clock and when they can control the possession to just take the life out of the Exeter Chiefs. And at the moment, the hosts do not have the quality of execution to get over the whitewash at the far end of the field. Jamie Blamire, he's been excellent in this second half, just finding some energy to keep on going. Can he hit his man again? He does.
Newcastle have had to attempt 3 times as many tackles as Exeter Chiefs have. 150 plus versus just over 50. But they are holding firm, they are standing proud. As Stewart sends it high. Spencer and Conan after it, but a majestic take from Josh Hodge. Still no points scored in this second half. 17 minutes of it left. And the Chiefs load up again. 2 up. Cairns waits for the heavy artillery to be wheeled into place down the right.
Okay, and use it. Start on side. Perfect.
Exeter want to use this period at the back end of the season to be the most improved team in the league by the time the campaign draws to a halt in 2 months' time. Into the final 5 matches of it after today is done and dusted.
No.
You hear the taxi call from Brett Conan, who's deputising at scrum half with Stewart tied up.
Okay, use it, please.
That's the call for a one-out carry for the Newcastle Falcons to set things up for their box kick. Stewart over the shoulder. Off goes Stevenson. Again, a ferocious collision in the air. Came off the Newcastle man's head, and it allows Exeter the chance to probe. Cohen's kick. Obatuyimbo was a knock-on, but the advantage is over. So Obatuyimbo slaloming. Lovely ball to Freddie Lockwood, who's looking for help.
2 players contesting foot on their feet. Play on.
This is a scrappy old game, this. Conan, torpedo style. She'll hold up in the breeze. Conor Doherty's showing some interest in this, and Cohen will just have to take the pragmatic option.
There's some tired bodies out there, Jamie. It's been a match that's lacked an awful lot of quality, but the effort, particularly in defence from the Falcons, that they've been rewarded for to keep a hold of this lead. When I looked before the game at both sides, and particularly the benches, I thought that Exeter would have more power coming off the bench, more threat, and therefore if it was close coming into the final quarter, they might have the opportunity to come away with the spoils. But so far Newcastle are doing just enough to hang on in this second half, managing the conditions well.
Conan's tester, Skinner versus Stevenson. Stevenson wins. Stewart to hurl into the 22. Come the Falcons. Kneeled for Murray McCallum. 135 kilograms of Scottish beef. Obatuyimbo looking for options, found none, so went for the carry. Stewart, Hawkins, neat ball inside to Chick, on to Cam Neild, thundering up the middle is Neild, running hard into Henry Slade. Have Exeter turned in? Oh yes, that's mega. Jimmy Roots with a crucial jackal.
Wow. Must be the 3rd of the game. Again, just that inside line by Chick. Gets his hands free to Neild, who just asks Henry Slade, do you have enough to stop me? He does. And the tight head prop replacement off the bench, over the top of the ball. Too big a man to move when he latched on. And Chiefs breathe again. Newcastle Falcons have got so close on 2 or 3 occasions and are 1 ruck away from a potential score, but again just showing Exeter Chiefs there. They've got their own fight in this. They're desperate to win this game at Sandy Park.
Brought on young Kane James as well, a star of the England 20 set up for Martin Maloney, but they have lost the line out, and Cam Neild will set it up in the middle for Newcastle.
And use it, please, Newcastle. He's off his feet now, don't be silly.
McCallum. Dozen minutes and some change to go. We are still yet to see a point registered on the scoreboard in this second half. Each team spurning chances. Who wants this match ball? Ollie Spencer does. Brockleback's there to pick it up. And Newcastle again with some important territory. Still just a 3-point ball game. Conan, Duarte ducking into Tua. Conan over to Yinbo, sliding on the outside. We see that when Hodge have got the fullback's number. Nailed, a real pugilist, a warhorse in the back row. Conan, narrow from Newcastle, Blameyer, neat hands into Hawkins. Henry Slade deals with the big lock. Conan, up it goes. Dropping tantalisingly outside the 22. Skinner couldn't call the mark. Brown Bampo protects, and Cairns now takes the space that was offered to him.
Good by Cairns. That temptation might have been to slow it down, but there was a space and opportunity to go there. It really is becoming a game of chess now, isn't it? Neither side wants to make the critical error that could provide an opportunity for the other.
Conan over to Yinbo. He's called by Conan to kick it away. Over to Yinbo, has other ideas, and why ever not? Here comes the hot stepper. Stewart missing McCallum for Conan and Chick, and there was space down that side if Chick had been able to move it. Oh, look out, Jamie Blameyer is off on a rampage, throwing it on the inside, knocked forwards deliberately by an Exeter hand. Stewart's raking punt for Spencer. Where's the bounce going? Hodge can't take it, Newcastle can. Newcastle penalty advantage tucked in their top pocket. Conan, a lot of space in behind Brown Bampo. Stevenson, can he make it? Not quite. That oval-shaped ball making fools of everybody. But Newcastle did have penalty advantage, and back will come, and this is why.
It was brilliant by Blameyer. Outstanding line break. From here, look at this, Conan sees Stevenson over. I don't think Brown Bampo realises where Stevenson is. If that ball just bounces up, Stevenson scoring. As it is, it just continued its way to the touchline. They're going to come all the way back for the deliberate knock-on that was deemed to have come from Blameyer's offload. Didn't see who actually it was who got their hand in the way. A few running repairs for the Falcons at the moment on the very far side of the field. It's going to delay the next bit of action, but Newcastle Falcons, it is Blameyer actually, there he is, just coming back into play now. My goodness, they have fronted up into the conditions in the second half. They have won almost every contest there's been from the box kick into the wind, and that's given them this opportunity now to put some bricks down in the Exeter Chiefs 22 and try and get a score that could prove to be decisive.
Number 10,
and that, Rory, is a massive call. 3 points, not enough to open up a 2-score gap. They're going to go for 5 or 7 here.
May even have been on the edge of the range for Conan into that wind, but also the real estate that Newcastle Falcons have at the moment is as important.
Here they come with that maul. There's the ball. Cam Neild has it. 7 metres out, Newcastle Falcons. A try here would be oh so very precious for them. Did they knock the ball on there? Yes, they did. David Rose comes in, the TMO, just to alert Adam Leald, who was on the far side of that breakdown. Chick just losing it on the deck, and it's Max Norrie's tackle that's important there.
Just the maul was stopped really well. There were six Newcastle forwards off their feet. As a result, the next play was a little bit scrappy.
Okay, we can form up, boys, let's go.
A shoulder, I think, dislodging that ball from the carry. I think it was Callum Chick on the carry. Just two-phase knock-on play. There's plenty of time here for the Exeter Chiefs to exit and get themselves some territory to go after an opportunity to win this game, but neither side able to properly control possession at the moment.
Keep your spacings right, boys.
These are seminal throws in a battle with so much at stake. Not in terms of championships and trophies, not even in terms of relegation and the spectre of a playoff to stay in the league. But in terms of pride, in terms of psychology, in terms of escaping the foot of the table, and that psychologically is a mighty boost for Exeter. 4 scrum penalties leaked just when they need it. They have one of their own.
Yeah, for the first time this afternoon, just the scrum edge. Just see there on the near side, Feyi-Waboso managing to just hold his own, and from there the power came through. Rewarded, and a wonderful kick. Henry Slade, how many times have we seen him with a tail breeze kick down into this half of the field, that far touchline.
Double change for Newcastle. Young Mickey Newcastle, the 20-year-old local boy, comes on for Adam Brocklebank, and Cam Neild is being replaced for 22-year-old Ollie Leatherbarrow. A rich team of youth continues to run through this Newcastle team, and many of the Tyros are tasked with trying to see them over the line. That will help. Chick got up, and because it was a contest, the squint throw is penalised.
Yeah, and it's brave as you see it now again. It's one of the great new law changes. You've got to be able to roll the dice, and that time Callum Chick went up against the Exeter Chiefs skipper David Jenkins, and from there, because it was so clear it wasn't straight from the throw of Max Norrie, Newcastle Falcons 6 minutes away from a historic away win. Can they hang on? At the moment, Exeter just too high on their error count, an inability to execute and look after possession. It's right on a knife edge.
Here comes the Chiefs shunt. Callum Chick has to pick from the base. He's caught really well by young Kane James. Feyi-Waboso hunting for the penalty. Penalty from Henry Slade would level the scores in this match as we approach the final 5 minutes in cloudy Devon.
Sam Stewart just once again just getting as many men on feet as he can to get the box kick. That one he's pulled in field though.
Oh, that's a big error from Stewart. Out on the full, and Exeter can load up from this line out, 35 metres or so out. This might be the match right here.
First of the afternoon. Such a tricky breeze. Sam Stewart just didn't get the strike right on that one. You could see it come off his boot, and it didn't have the end-over-end flight that he was looking for. And the wind grabbed a hold of it, pulled it infield, out of the field. And Exeter Chiefs, first time in a while they've had a proper attacking platform here from which to properly threaten the Falcons line.
Callum Chick up again, but Capstick does win it. And here come the Chiefs. Norrie on the hoof. Big carry from the replacement hooker. Cairns, Tuima. Sandy Park beginning to grow, beginning to believe. Blossé, oh, Skinner, it's gone backwards though. Brown Bampo onto it. Cairns having a run at Mickey Newcastle. Was James taken early there? The officials are checking that in the background. David Rose, our TMO, has said yes, he was. Penalty Exeter. What do you do here? A kick levels it.
I think they're going to go for the corner. A bit surprised if they go for the post. They could go for the post, but still with a couple of minutes, leave themselves a couple of minutes to go after the win. But I think they want to put this to bed. Skinner, it's arguably quite tricky kicking for the corner with that breeze. We saw Cohen put one into the in goal, but he has done an excellent job of getting in position now. You just see there, just taking a player out off the ball. Can the Falcons hang on here?
Exeter have been ragged all season. Can they find that ruthless streak to sicken the Falcons at the end? A little over 3 minutes to play. Listen to Sandy Park. Everyone inside the stadium biting fingernails, straining every sinew as the Chiefs rage and rage against this brave Newcastle defence. Cairns in the shadow of the posts. James to the left, Roots to the right. Captain Jenkins, Skinner to Hammersley fresh off the bench. Jimmy Roots. Cairns. James again. Feisty young flanker. Sets things up for the Chiefs. Feyi-Waboso, tireless carrier. More than anybody else in Chiefs colours. Cairns, Tweema from a standing start. Has to go backwards. Chick chops him. Leather Barrow on the ball, but not doing enough. Here's Capstick now. Punches raining down upon this Newcastle defence. This is what they train for. This is what the hours and hours on the paddocks are poured into. Hammersley splattered by Newcastle. Feyi-Waboso, big fend on Stewart. Conan going in to help. Alex Hell down injured. Newcastle temporarily at least defending with 14 players. The phase count continues to kick up and up and up. So does the pressure. Oh, Slade's dropped it, and Leather Barrow leads a fly hack downfield. Hodge will be too quick for the flanker. Running it over to Yinbo, running at tired Falcons. They'll have lungs like old cling film out there. Skinner, stillness there for the Chiefs. James through the middle, Skinner on the inside, stepping away. Tweema, has he got the legs? Feyi-Waboso! At the 11th hour, they were calling time up in the last chance saloon. Greg Feyi-Waboso, a totem for Exeter all season, has surely stolen this match. We need to look at this pass from James to Skinner as well. This might be tight, but what an ending.
Unbelievable ending to the game. TMO work's going to continue to go. Exeter, they've used every moment. Here we go. Is this forwards? Oh. Difficult and touch a tight angle to see if it is without the.
Yeah, Adam, it's okay, mate. Pass is fine.
Well, the try will stand.
He checked it, it's fine.
It's legal. And it is a 2-point match. We have time for a restart. But Newcastle up against it now to try and regather possession and snatch back a game that they have led for 39 minutes.
What a moment. I am not sure about that. I thought that looked forwards. But as it is, it's cruel. Can the Falcons create something in this last play?
They have to go short with the restart. They need possession. They will not have it. And fittingly, Feyi-Waboso comes up with the ball.
Okay, use it.
Clock is red. Ball is Exeter's, and so is the match. A game that ebbed and flowed, that dangled in the balance for an age, is snatched beautifully, brilliantly, and from a Newcastle point of view, cruelly, right at the end, by a rampaging Greg Feyi-Waboso. Exeter open up some daylight between themselves and Newcastle at the foot of the Gallagher Premiership, but the Falcons showed such heart, such desire, such determination, and will be so very, very sickened and devastated not to have got that game over the line right at the end. Callum Chick is our Gallagher Premiership player of the match, leading us always from the front in attack, defence, and at the set piece for Newcastle. But once again, he is on the losing side as Newcastle captain, and the losing run away from home in the Gallagher Premiership for Newcastle now stretches beyond 870 days and 22 matches. Muted celebrations around Sandy Park, but it is Exeter's day in a heart-stopping finale. They've beaten Newcastle Falcons by 17 points to 50. Oh, Rory, what a phenomenal endgame to a match that was scrappy in places, missed opportunities, dropped passes, but in the end a moment of class from Exeter to steal it.
Absolutely, the final moments did reflect the previous, certainly in that second half. I think there's no doubt, Jamie, that we saw some of the rugby this afternoon gives us a good example as to why these two teams occupy the lower levels of the table. But Exeter just stayed in the fight and stayed in the fight in a gnarly contest and did enough. They did just enough in that almost the final play of the game to get a score that gave them the win. But Newcastle were so brave. They fought hard. They continued to battle away and bring the gnarl and hunger and combat that they want to be known for. A simple game plan executed to a manner that kept them in the fight, but it just wasn't enough for them.
I tell you down there, Steve Diamond is absolutely hopping mad. He's just almost sarcastically applauding the assistant referees, it would seem, off the pitch. He was having a pretty animated conversation with the fourth official, talking to Adam Leal, the referee, as well, and I think he's just gone up the tunnel either to prepare to address his vanquished and rather nonplussed looking players, or to speak to the officials in more detail. I suspect he was upset by the decision at the end, the pass from Kane James on the inside that was ruled to be legal by the officials. Those of a Newcastle persuasion will certainly feel otherwise. But Exeter, what metal, what bottle again. Statistically speaking, they had the better of for a long old time, dominating possession and territory in 22 entries. But Newcastle so brave in defence, so dogged, just couldn't keep them out.